Spiderwebbing in Theory and Practice by Steven Nite. Narrated with permission by Cody Strong. Spiderwebbing in Theory and Practice, or technically entitled Understanding the Black Art of Seduction While in Love and Being in the Dark About Everything and Then Some, by Steven Nite. AL 1-57 I invoke you under my stars. Love is the law, love under will. Nor let the fools mistake love, for there are love and love. There is the dove, and there is the serpent. Choose ye well. He, my prophet, hath chosen, knowing the law of the fortress and the great mystery, the house of God. Preface and introduction. Passion and betrayal. Whatever the real meaning of my life may or may not be, mankind's aim and focus towards finding the perfect mate to be with appears to be at the top of the list. Who we choose to spend our most precious moments with in the short period of time we have to live on this earth is obviously going to be ranked at the top important things to us. Sadly, who we choose to be with, or who chooses us, or who we just somehow end up with, isn't as much of our control as we would like such to be, for we are greatly impacted by their existence and role in the bigger picture, and we often find ourselves being at their mercy when it comes to issues of scandal, treachery, and deceit. However, there is variables to this theme. I have come to understand that when it comes to human interaction, there's two fundamental reasons for such to occur. One being input, the other being output. This side of the equation that we end up on will obviously fluctuate back and forth almost constantly, and with every person that we come into contact with, positives and negatives, pushes and pulls, and the balance thereof such. It's a very delicate process. The aim of this production is to offer you, the reader, some key insights into the diverse realities of the realm of relationships when there is more than meets the eye going on, the confusion and the feelings of powerlessness associated with dealing with the archetypes of certain people and their confusing, deceitful, dishonest, shady, scandalous, abusive, or neglectful behavior demands answers to the questions that come out of our interactions with them, especially when it comes to those that's most close to us, i.e., are they right? Are you really that stupid, dumb, lowly, and pathetic of a so-called human that your ignorance has blinded you to the point that you can't tell the difference between your head and your ass? Or does their actions make you feel this way, but their words tell you a different story altogether? Chapter 1. Vicious Cycles, Mind Control. Also referred to as brainwashing, coercive persuasion, and thought reform, refers to a broad range of psychological tactics thought to subvert an individual's control of his or her own thinking, behavior, emotions, or decision-making. Brainwashing and mind control theories originally developed to explain how totalitarian regimes were thought to indoctrinate prisoners of war through propaganda and torture techniques. The perfect picture. Too perfect? If you are fortunate enough to have been blessed with meeting the perfect person, then let me be the first to congratulate you for your success. And I hope for your years together to be many in number and filled with happiness. These words are aimed towards plucking an emotional string for those who believe that they have found such too, but ended up finding more than they bargained for when change happened. But how did it get to being like so? Everything seemed so perfect in the beginning, and there was long talks and laughter and passion and trust and honesty. But in time something happened. They became cold and indifferent. The arguing and fighting started. You found yourself crying more and more often, and the reasons that they found to become furiously upset at you seem to be over smaller and smaller things. You found yourself feeling like you couldn't do anything right, that your what used to be good sense of humor was no longer a part of your personality. The one you have so loyally devoted yourself to has somehow ended up being someone totally different than you thought they were, and now it's up to you to do something about it. But what and how? What could be the cause of this terrible twist in the plot? Victims usually become victimizers in one way, shape, or form or another. It happens every day. And all too often can we find ourselves being stuck in a situation where we are somehow caught up in an abusive or neglectful relationship, or in a relationship where the person that we are with turns out to be a complete stranger or enemy altogether. And we need to know what to do when the points of our interest, our life starts painting confusing pictures and taking a turn for the worst and worse because of uncertainty and anger. In many cases, it will help out a lot if you are familiar with your partner's past first, then past relationship second, and experiences with such too. If they can't get over an ex or are more concerned about them or someone else other than you, get a grip and bring it up. And if you have this problem, I strongly suggest a soul-searching experience. See if you can quit obsessing over the unfixable, unchangeable done. They are the people who allow their family or friends to dictate over the top of their lives. They are totally powerless towards standing up for themselves when a controlling parent or someone else intervenes and imposes on your relationship, or when a good friend of theirs, who is a terrible influence, keeps trying to hook them up with someone else, even though they are fully aware of your existence. And if they, your loved one, become super defensive at the smallest hint of any resistance from you about such, get ready for a long, hard road to hell in a handbasket. Take notice of how their friends and family treats their significant others. Often they will follow their loved ones and treat who they are with like how they do, because they learned that such is the way to be. Occasionally there is the exceptional person, though, that chooses not to follow suit, but realistically, that person usually ends up being you. You may have noticed some other kinds of changes in your partner lately. Is it something you should be worried about or just ignore? Should you bring up what has been bothering you, or should you keep it bottled up and unaddressed? Has it got to the point that you can't even bring it or almost anything up at all because you know that it is only going to set them off? Or that they are going to turn the conversation around and make it all about something totally different? And you'll end up regretting opening your mouth in the first place. We'll get deeper into the art of misdirection in another area. If it has got to the point that there is a tug of war going on, and there is a power struggle occurring over everything at the drop of a hat, and you do not understand why, then please read these words carefully. You may find yourself wondering more and more, why are they so mad at me for all the time over anything and everything? Or why are they being this way? Yet you are still longing to feel the warmth of their attention once again, like how it was when you had first got together. A far cry from being the times that you recall when you two lovebirds were floating in the air, up with cloud 9. Now nothing you do is right. Everything gets on their nerves and stresses them out. And all that crying that you've done about it has only made matters worse. Here I have listed out the many common warning signs that indicate your relationship is in trouble, to set the stage for why I wrote this text to begin with. If you don't address the issues now and put forth the effort it takes to try fixing whatever your problem is, not only is separation inevitable, but something much more severe awaits you as well. Yet, it may already be far beyond that point in time. And now, knowing that you have become the victim of a terrible injustice. You long for vengeance or retribution. But please see that your want for revenge just might turn you into the same kind of cold-hearted person that you are being hurt so badly by. Then they truly have won. And who have used to be a wonderful and caring person is no more. Sometimes you will find that you are the last person to know that your loved one has had a change of heart, more than likely because you did not want to see such. And everything was perfect, remember? It's really hard to come to terms with. But here is some really important things for you to think about if something is going on and you can't just put your finger on it. 1, your partner is spending less time with you, even if they are right there in the same place as you are. Look for an intentionally imposed dramatic decrease in together time. If your partner used to talk to you about everything going on with them and shared with you all their thoughts and feelings about everything in the world and then some, if you saw each other on certain times or days, had your happy little routines, or when you used to do new and exciting things or spontaneous things, and suddenly those things have tapered off or halted completely, this points to the possibility of bigger troubling issues going on. Some people have routines that they refuse to let go of, even if they have obligations associated with being in a relationship, i.e. with you. They are just naturally flirty and don't see any harm in being suggestive, even though there is other people on standby that they keep on their side just in case, and it is you that somehow is needing to be more understanding. The feelings that comes from meeting new people is wonderful, and it is great to have the opportunity to share something about ourselves with someone who might actually be interested and listen to what we have to say. And the more we listen to them, we like what we hear. The factor may be what caused your relationship to exist in the first place, all while we could find ourselves growing tired of their routines and we see emerge out of those around us. And how we express such to them needs to be pondered upon for a moment. Sometimes it is quite the opposite. Who? Don't jump to conclusions and automatically think that she is cheating or doesn't love you anymore. Sometimes they may have to really work late at times, and they may truly just be with friends. After all, you probably work late and visit friends too. But if they are accusational and ruthless towards you, any time such occurs with you, it could be a whole different scenario going on. Always keep in mind that things are never as they seem, and that there is always more than meets the eye, even when it looks like a scandal is occurring. If you have been working late and being with friends so much that it has planted the seeds in your mind, and that you may have been up to no good, they may be on some revenge or get-backs themselves towards you. Thus, there is a lot of gray areas when dealing with these scenarios. If it becomes a pattern, though, and is combined with any of the following signs, you'll definitely want to talk with your partner about this and work on bridging the gap between the two of you. But always keep in mind that it does take two. Realize that if they are telling you that you are making them feel suffocated, or the whole I need space thing comes up out of seemingly nowhere at all, that this is a really bad warning that your presence has been getting on their nerves for some whatever reason. And if you take notice that they only get more angry if you try to ask what is wrong with them or you, they say something like, how have you made them like that? But you see that everyone else they talk to, they are quite unabrasive towards and not the least bit hostile with, then this is obvious that what the best course of action is to take, i.e. space. No one needs to be mistreated by the one they love, point blank. But if you are causing them to be irritated by not giving them the space they're asking for, then this is self-inflicted pains you are creating. And if you've got a situation where there's other people involved lurking about behind the scenes, and the ones that you might love just might be stringing you along or keeping you around for creature comforts, then you need to get some insurance fast. For the wreck that is about to happen is going to be a nasty one. Hopefully you know your loved one enough to know how they have been Hopefully you know your loved one enough to know how they are when you are there. You can imagine how they are when you are not. If you keep getting hints and the person you fell in love is not the same person anymore, same person anyone else knows them as, especially if everyone else end up being people who actually knows your loved one better than you do, beware of the "I told you so's" from them. Time is of the essence. Some people will be there around you for the rest of your life, while some people are present in your life only for a little while. Phases, changes, and growth all impacts this picture. 2. Your partner starts dressing, looking, acting differently. What goes on right beneath people's noses is often the last thing people usually see. More often than not, it is on account for self-inflicted willful blindness. Apparently, we have already touched down the point that if your loved one is acting differently, then there's a problem. But if your partner used to be perfectly comfortable in sweats and old t-shirts and started dressing up better before going out alone, but with you they are still not caring about getting all dressed up, if he seldom shaved and now has a baby smooth face, if she never wore perfume and now doesn't walk out the door without spraying some on, you're naturally going to be on alert, especially if there is someone else in particular that they act like such about or over. These signs suggest a significant other may be losing interest in relationship, and as a result they are consciously or subconsciously trying to attack someone else. See signaling. Communications. In today's technological advanced world, texting is an overgrowing means of communication. For one, it is private, and 2, you can cut to the chase and say what you need to say, and everybody's doing it. However, the bad side to this phenomenon is the timing factor. Some people have no qualms about texting to whoever it is, and whenever they're in the middle of a discussion with someone else face to face, and they don't seem to understand or care that they are being totally disrespectful and offensive to you when you are trying to communicate with them. Yet they will go off about you ever having similar communications with someone else while they are trying to talk to you. Having someone sit in front of you and carry on a completely humorous or hilarious conversation with someone else while ignoring you and what you are saying or asking is outrageous, to say the least, especially if such a humorous discussion is occurring while the two of you are in the middle of an argument. But what to do when the person on the other end of that texting line has the intention of hooking up with your significant other, or vice versa? Alternatively, a partner may be having a self-esteem issues, and by addressing it better is giving them the boost that they need. Or when communicating with someone else, they may be trying to give themselves assurance that they are still desirable. But surely you can tell whenever there is an alien influence or external variable at work that could be causing such a change. Again, talking to your partner about the changes is the best course of action. Open communication is the key factor to making any kind of relationship work. The words "I love you" mean something different to everyone in the whole wide world. If you say it to another all the time, and then all of a sudden they quit telling you or respond to your telling them such differently, then bring this up immediately. 3. There's less intimacy in a relationship, aka more than just a headache. If she seems uninterested in being affectionate anymore, and if your sex life takes a nosedive, this is another sign that things are more than just rocky between you. If your sex life was healthy, and now you're finding it becoming less and less personal, then be on the lookout for the next phase of what happens when a sex life goes cold. If you feel like your partner isn't there anymore with you in bed, like how they used to be, or if they have started acting like they don't see your signaling to them, or they don't respond to your sexual advances, it is a very hurtful and painful reality to live with. If it was them trying to love on you and you respond like how they did, you would have hell to pay. And if you actually got to keep your relationship afterwards, then that's amazing. But I bet you that sex is going to be out of the picture for a while, And the next thing you know, you'll find yourself wandering about or asking them if they are still attracted to you at all. The issues concerning one's ego and self-esteem are big, and any insecurities that come from dying sex life spells out future complexes. Remember, there needs to be multiple signs, not just this one or that one. At times, your partner may really be under a great deal of stress or is just truly depressed. These are two other common reasons for a decrease in intimacy. However, when a person loses interest in their relationship, they usually distance themselves physically and emotionally. There is no need for me to address the importance of affection, romance, or passion in any relationship, but I will express the importance of such being retained for one relationship only. And if your partner is feeling like they need to give or receive such from someone else, then there is going to be trouble for you regardless. Intimacy is a very sacred and personal thing. If you find yourself taking notice that something is seemingly different about your love life, it is your best to find out what that difference is exactly and not let it get too far out of hand. It could really be a bad thing if you see this change in affection and intimacy and figure the best thing you could do is just accept it for what it looks like and go out and compensate for your partner's lack of attention towards you by going out and finding it somewhere else. It might just be what they themselves are doing or have done. Another very important note on this point is if you find your loved one has a problem with talking about other people's sexual episodes you have been with before you, their glorifying such can be extremely aggravating you and can result in you making the wrong move. If you find them always making statements about how sexy someone else is, or if you catch them making comments about how good they bet such and such sexes would be, it is naturally going to occur that your blood is going to boil. But what the hell are you going to do about it? Complaining about anything is the most surefire way of getting what you don't want to happen. 4. Sparks fly when you talk. Maybe you're just feeling insecure and you blow small things out of proportion. Maybe you're just feeling needy right now. That happens, but if you approach your partner and discuss the fact that you feel they aren't acting like they used to, or you miss how things used to be between you, and they erupt like a volcano, this is a really bad sign. If your partner truly loves you and cares about making the relationship work, why get upset if you mention some changes in their personality or actions? The concept about feeling like the best thing to do is to just keep your mouth shut because of how they're going to act or what they might do is never the right thing to do. This is how resentments and secrets begin. 5. Not being able to mend the tears in your relationship, or not getting past the past, or what to do when they can't nor won't get over the past. On its own, such a problem may fairly be insignificant, but combined with others, they add up to the fact that there are problems in the relationship that you can no longer ignore. At the smallest infractions occurring, you find yourself being attacked with a blitzkrieg of things that occurred in the past, that you thought you had worked in the past, but comes right back and is thrown in your lap. You are supposed to forgive and forget, but they all of a sudden are immune from having to do this, and the next thing you know, your special someone has become a resentful, spiteful, grudge-holding stranger who just wants you to go away. 6. Lies, lies, lies. Compulsive disorders do exist, and if you start seeing that your special someone has been getting caught up in the lies that they are telling you, or that others that they deal with, it is going to be really hard to ever truly trust them at all, fully. Do they constantly lie to everyone else about where they have been or what they have been doing? And you see them doing this, but believe that they are always being totally open and honest with just you and no one else? Don't believe it. And if you do, you are setting yourself up to be hurt in the worst of ways. Do you need to take the initiative to try to work things out? Talk with your partner? That is your call to make. Don't yell or cry or accuse. Just tell him or her how you're feeling, that you miss the special times together, and that you want to do whatever it takes to be close again. Avoid pointing fingers and pointing out faults. Nobody's open and changing or even trying if they are automatically put on the defensive. Try to remain open, loving, kind, and compassionate. Yet, when dealing with someone who gets on the defensive, if you ask them how they are doing, how their day is going, then it is a different ball game altogether. And if apathy has dug its cold talons into your loved one's heart to the point that they've made up their mind or changed their mind about their relationship with you, then for you coming to terms with such a reality can be the most difficult and painful. And you need to focus on the moving on with your life with as little collateral damage as possible. Sometimes a guilty conscience can be a killer. If they have done something that they know would jeopardize your relationship, or if you knew about happening, then they could easily give away the telltale signs of such secret existing without even knowing that they did. But people also have a really weird way of giving out hints and clues just to make themselves feel better about what they have done or are planning on doing. If your partner is willing to open up and work with you on making changes, great. If he or she has no desire to create a safe, stable, and loving relationship with you, then you may want to think about separating and finding someone who is more suitable for you. Love is everywhere. Don't think you have to settle for one person if you're not happy, even if whoever you are with seems to be the one. But to them, if you are not the one, then being able to see eye to eye on this issue will cause sure chaos. Chapter 2. Honey, I'm home. Imagine it as being a long, hard week of work, and all you want to do is get home to your significant other, then go out for dinner and drinks so the two of you can relax and do some catching up. On your way home, you call the house. There's no answer, so you call their cell. You get the voicemail, so you leave a message. Honey, I'm on my way home. I thought we could go out for dinner and drinks. Call me. They do not call you back. You come home to an empty house. Maybe they had to work late, you think. So off to the shower you go. After all, you're going to make the night extra special. You've got to look your best. Well, they never call. And now it is after 10, so you're thinking, what the hell? You keep calling, but there's no answer. Finally, your partner arrives home. It is after midnight, and you are hot. Where have you been, you ask? They tell you that they have had a last-minute meeting at work, and they are beat, and that they are just going to bed, with a headache, of course. Stop and think. If you are reading this, chances are someone has done this or something very similar to you. If you have bought the story they handed you, it had to be the first time that they have done anything like this, right? Let's take a minute to analyze their story in this scenario. When was the last time you were in a business meeting until midnight? Unless you had clients coming to town that you had to entertain. This simply does not happen. Besides, if they had clients coming, they would have known beforehand, right? Logic dictates that they would have mentioned it, and they cannot pick up the phone. This is bullshit, too. It appears to me that by the time that things has got to this point to your special someone, you are dumb and deserving of being lied to because you are a weak, worthless, pathetic excuse of a human being who can go and be gone if you have any issues with what they are doing or have done. Hey, you stay with them this long, right? Wait a minute. Before you dismiss this story, I need to let you know. Maybe your story is different, but you have a story, don't you? You have doubts. They just haven't been the same lately, have they? You'll find yourself wondering more and more, is my special someone deceiving me? And before you know it, everything is crazy. Do not feel guilty. Do not feel guilty, okay? Let's say that we have established that you are wondering whether or not your special someone is being sneaky or deceiving you. But you may feel guilty for feeling this way. After all, they are a great person to you. Be careful. Never underestimate anyone's capabilities or motives. Today, fidelity does not matter to people like it used to. To many, it has become seen as a weakness, or as though it's simply because you want them to only be with you, and you have somehow conspired to keep them from experiencing all the wondrous things they could be doing if you are not around. But whenever someone is being deceitful or not, a legitimate concern of millions of people today. But why would they be? Or why be honest at all? First off, where the majority of people seem to cheat for strictly sexual reasons, the truth is that people cheat for very different reasons. Some people feel they need for an emotional connection, one that is intimate and causes them to feel as though they can confide in and bond with on an emotional level. Some people need to be the center of their loved one's attention. Also, they want to be desired, experience romance, and feel special. Do I need to draw you a picture? If a person does not provide their special someone with these things, chances are that special someone would cheat and be with the person that does. There is more than just one way to cheat on one's partner. You should also consider that they may not be in love with you anymore. Let's not jump all the way to how they may not love you at all anymore. They may cheat rather than end the relationship themselves. They may lack the confidence to confront you, so they cheat in hope that you will catch them and end the relationship yourself. What are some signs that a significant other may be cheating? Personally, it must be different for every person. But here are some of the things to look out for according to the study I have conducted. Has their behavior changed in any way? They may not be as needy as they used to be. They may have stopped asking you to help with things they normally would, especially sexually. Have they started mentioning another person almost constantly out of nowhere at all, and you have become alerted in secretive communications and meetings going on between them? Behind your back or right beneath your nose? Have they stopped getting upset with you over those things they normally would? Are the small things you screw up suddenly okay? Have they stopped sharing their daily activities with you? Are they being strange in a way that makes you contemplate upon the legitimacy of their fidelity? Do they switch conversations about what they have done or are doing into being about you or something else? In other words, do they avoid communicating about themselves altogether with you? Or are they, in other words, getting out of their way to shower with you with attention? And you don't understand why? Because getting out of their way to shower you with attention, and you don't understand why, because such attention almost seems fake or staged. Turning off their computer monitor when you walk into the room, receiving calls they will not answer because you are there, or getting off the phone really quickly when you come into the room, erasing their call and texting history, yet leaving few there for appearance, accidentally thinking that you had a conversation with you that never occurred, and then asking if you are sure, saying that they need to go somewhere that they never end up at, or obvious other people everywhere all the time. All says a lot. These are just a few of the many red flags that may show up, and there are some problems in your relationship that needs attention. Like I've said to many people in this life, I believe that every person is different. Therefore, it is logical to believe that the signs as to whether or not they are cheating would differ for each person. Cheating is only one theme associated with betrayal and deception, but not the only one. And if you suspect your loved one is guilty of such, what do you do now? Check your gut. Do you just have a feeling they are or have, or do you have a strong feeling that they are or have? Worse yet, do you have proof that they are cheating or being deceitful? How you handle this is totally based on how you answer these questions. If you just have a feeling, it would most likely be best not to go off half-cocked and accuse them of anything. Maybe something is wrong with them, and they don't know how to tell you, so ask them, communicate with them. Let them know you are concerned, and ask them if they are okay. Be sure to communicate the behavioral changes you notice. Be gentle. Remember that you want them to feel comfortable. By no means should you attack them with accusations if you have a strong feeling. Again, do not go off on them. Alienating them is the last thing you want to do right now. If you feel that they have lied to you, do not assume it is because they are having an affair. Once again, communication is key. You might say, I feel like you have been completely honest with me. I feel like you have not been completely honest with me, and then ask them why. Remember, do your best to not have an accusatory tone. If you have proof, well then there is much that needs to happen immediately, but it comes back to what you want to happen now. If you already know that they are cheating on you or that they have lied to you, you may choose to tell them that you are aware of the lies or the affair, and then let them know what you plan to do or what you want. Should you forgive them? I really have no idea. You are certainly under no obligation to. I know that I would not be able to too easily. I have tried and it never worked for me. I just harbored way too much resentment. There's a question you will have to do some serious soul searching to answer. Here are some questions for you to ponder over while deciding. Will you be capable of trusting them ever again? Why did they do it? If they refuse to say, you need to reevaluate whether you can trust them again. If it has to do with your relationship, are you capable of really fixing it? Be honest with yourself. Is it your fault? Is the relationship worth the effort it will require to save? I would like to admit that this is a very difficult subject for anyone to discuss openly, mainly because it cuts to the very core of our identity. There seems to be a prevailing perception that if we admit our partners have lied, deceived, betrayed, or cheated on us, somehow we lose our self-esteem or sense of self-pride. If you are going through this, it is important to remember that you are not the first, and you certainly will not be the last person it has happened to in the world. The fact that many people are scandalous, nor do they care. They are usually only sorry after they get caught. They feel like they are being the better person in the picture because they would rather make someone else hurt than to be hurt. Victims as victimizers, or they will rationalize what they have done by making themselves believe that you have done something to them that makes you deserving of such. And while they indeed are like so because of different reasons, they still do it. You are more apt to lose your self-esteem over doing nothing. So if you think or you are sure your special someone is not who they claim to be, do something about it. This book is for you, and this is a part where we get even.